Rev up your engines!
Well, here's some good local news and good news for America. Hankook Tires, the Korean company, is adding 1,200 jobs in their tire factory here in Clarksville, Tennessee. So they'll end up having 2,200 jobs. This is why I always tell people, when you're going to buy a tire, look at the tire. I like the ones that are made in the United States. Now, Hankook is a Korean company, right? But they're making the tires here in the United States, so they do a better job. If you look at buy a Hankook tire, just look at it. If it's made here, Tennessee, it'll say made in USA. That's the one you want to buy. You want the ones made here because they do a better job building them. They cut corners in many foreign countries. They don't vulcanize the tires long enough, so they don't hold up as long. They come apart faster. But they do a pretty good job over here. So the next time you're looking at tires, you look at Hankook tires, if it says made in the USA, go ahead and buy them. As long as it doesn't say made in China on them. Well, you always hear me warning you not to buy Dodge products. Here is an email from a viewer that agrees entirely. Scotty, my name is Elizabeth. I'm reaching out because I have all kinds of problems. I bought a new 2022 Dodge Challenger RT 5.7 liter in May 2022. My husband spent 10 years saving for it. Now we heard this noise, the Hemi tick. We are on a weekend road trip in August 2022. The engine started shaking. We had to pull it over. The dealer said the engine is shot. They need a long block. They're still waiting for parts. To this day, the car is still at the dealer, which is an hour away from our house. This class action suit against the 5.7 and 6.4 Hemi. Installing issues. The engine's just dying. This is my daily driver. My husband and I are seriously scared. Dodge doesn't want to do a buyback, and I'm having to get a attorney involved because it's not reasonable for a new car to have these issues. Tell your viewers to beware about buying any Hemi product. There it is from the horse's mouth. They saved up 10 years to buy this thing. Oh, they got their Hemi, and then what happened? The engine went out in a practically brand new vehicle. The quality control is crap at Chrysler, Fiat, Stellantis. They can talk all they want. They can close factories down in the United States to save money and make everything in Mexico. And it makes their products even crappier than they were in the first place. They used to have great diesel engines in some of their trucks. Now what do they have? Crappy Italian, some company that Fiat owns that makes diesel engines. They're putting Italian diesel engines in them. They're now in their third generation on some of those. The first two blew up, and I'm assuming the third will probably blow up too. There's no quality in that company. Stay away if you value your money. Nicholas C. says, I got 69 El Camino. It won't start when it's cold. I'm 16. I got automatic tranny 69 El Camino, daily driver. I tried cleaning the carburetor cleaner, but it didn't fix. What should I do? That's a dinosaur. It's a 69, right? The carburetor would need overhauling. How anybody can overhaul. It might even be worn out. Maybe if there's too many miles on it, it's just flat worn out. Take the carburetor on it, throw it away, and put on an Edelbrock. You can get a brand new Edelbrock for $300 or so. They bolt on, and it'll run like a scalded ape. You can get any kind of Edelbrock you want. You can get a big cubic feet per minute one that'll get more power or worse gas mileage, a smaller one. Look into it and see what you want to do. But that's the best way to go. Places like AutoZone still sell those things. They're not hard to get. They're easy to bolt on. They don't have to deal with all the old crap that's old and worn out. Damian Passur says, Scotty, how you doing? I got a 91 Mercedes-Benz 190E 2.3 automatic with 155,000 miles. It's in great shape. I change the oil every 5,000 miles. How long do you think it'll last? Well, you know, Mercedes-Benz is often turned into endless money pits, but you have a rather interesting one. You got a 190E 2.3 four-cylinder engine. They're not particularly popular in the United States because they were kind of underpowered. They're a heavy vehicle with a smaller engine. But that said, if you love it, keep changing the oil, it might last a long time. It's not all that crazy new stuff with turbochargers. It's a much more basic vehicle, and it's probably made in Deutschland. The ones made in Germany are made better, so it might last quite some time. I used to have customers have those things, had 250. They're still running pretty good. Emmanuel Aponte said, what are your thoughts on a 2006 Matrix with 92,000 miles? Well, if you're talking about buying it, pick it up fast. Those things can go 3, 4, 500,000 miles. 92,000 miles is nothing. They get phenomenal gas miles. Basically, it's a Toyota Corolla with a small SUV body stuck on the frame. Originally, they called them Toyota Corolla Matrixes. Then they just called them Toyota Matrixes. I've got an '07 thing that might run forever. They're really well made. And they get phenomenal gas mileage, too. Life and Sports Talk with Jake says, Scotty, me and the wife can't agree on a van. I see a lot of Honda Odysseys, cheap, $3,000, 150,000 miles and up. What would you buy one? I'm seeing Siennas for $5,000 with 185,000. Okay, well, here's the thing. The Siennas are 5 times the vans of the Odysseys. The Odysseys had engine problems. problems, cams went bad, transmissions blew up on them, electronic problems. As they age, they're not very good vans. Now, if you bought a brand new Odyssey, usually they last for quite some time, but I don't see any Odyssey vans with 300, 400, 500,000 miles on them unless they've had the transmissions replaced once or twice, the engines worked on. I've seen Siennas with 500,000 miles, engines and trannies are never touched. They're so much better built. You're going to pay more, but they are a much better vehicle. There's no arguing that. That's why you can find so many cheap Odysseys. They aren't that well made. William Bergman said, Scotty, me and my grandpa, 1971 Buick Skylark convertible, we work on together. What are some of the common problems? It's an old vehicle. That thing is what? 52 years old. It's ancient. So many things can break on it. Of course, the weakest thing is the automatic transmission. You know, it's a 71 Skylark convertible, so I'm assuming it's a V8. Most of them are V8s then. They're excellent engines. The transmissions are the weakest points to them. Main thing you got to worry about with the 71 is rust. If you live anywhere where they use salt in the winter, it's going to rust away. They just rust because they didn't have very good anti-rusting back in the 70s. If you live where there isn't rust, great. You know, you don't have to worry about it. But let's say the frame's starting to rust, you hit it with a hammer, instead of going bang, bang, it goes crunch and it dents in. It's on its last legs then. Don't put any money into it if it's rusting out. Jake says, is it worth getting a Sienna at 185,000 miles for $6,000? I imagine a Sienna would last up to 300,000. If it was maintained, yeah. I mean, my son bought a brand new one last year. I think they paid close to $60,000. You're only talking about $6,000. Even if it only lasted another 100,000 miles, you'd be getting your money's worth compared to what modern vehicles cost. Don't trust anybody. Have a guy like me check it out before you buy to make sure it wasn't wrecked or flooded or had serious problems. But other than that, they're great vans. They can last a long time. Hackers caught red-handed. Said, Scotty, I got a Mazda 3 2009. I get white smoke. Mechanic says I need a new engine because the engine's aluminum. It won't hold. They want to swap the whole engine. What are your thoughts? What's the mileage on the engine? Let's say the engine's got 180,000 miles. I'd put another engine in. I would not start fixing it. You don't put Band-Aids on engines. If the head's worn, the block's worn, the pistons are worn, the crankshafts are worn, everything is worn. Do not Band-Aid an old car. If you're going to keep it, do the whole engine or get rid of it and get another vehicle. I've had people over the years try to, it just needs a head gasket. They put a head gasket on, and then 6 months later, it blows something else that starts smoking, and then they got to put in piston rings. It's endless. If you're going to fix an engine, fix it right. If not, drive it till it drops and then junk it or put a used engine in it. Parker says, Scotty got a 2014 Ford Fusion, 140,000 miles. Should I keep driving it or sell it? The Fusions were decent vehicles. 140,000 miles. Does it burn any oil? And does the transmission run good and not slip much? If so, keep driving it. You're not going to get that much money for a Fusion with 140,000 miles on it. But if you're curious, put it up for sale. See what you get offered. If you get offered a lot of money, take it. And see if you can find a good used Toyota or Honda that'll last a lot longer than that one. Double Plus on Good says, Scotty, what do you think of the newer engines with port and direct injection? Yeah, some of the Toyotas were made that way. They work great when they're working. But it's new technology. It is a level of complexity that's insanity. It's not like, it starts up on the port, then it switches to the GDI. It switches between them all the time while you're running. Now, they run phenomenal. The new Toyota ones, they get phenomenal gas mileage. But what's going to happen when they age? I generally would imagine things will break that normally don't break, and it will cost a fortune to fix. Give you a perfect example. Ages ago, Ford came out with their EcoBoost. V6 engines with direct injection with 2 turbochargers. Lots of power. Good gas mileage. Guess what's happening now? They're getting old, they're falling apart and breaking, and they cost a fortune to repair because that fuel injection system is so complex with the dual turbos. And the GDI, it is just complex as can be. Then you either junk the car or spend a fortune fixing it. These new ones, it's an interesting technology, but as they age, I imagine they're going to get some very expensive problems. And then you're going to wish it didn't have 2 separate fuel injection systems on the car that actually work in tandem. Emery Young says I got 89 Dodge Ram Charger, 318 motor, over 400,000 miles. Should I keep it or sell? Realize that's becoming a collector's item. People love those Ram Chargers. The 318s were excellent engines. You could keep fixing that thing forever, or at least as long as they keep selling gasoline. It'll be quite some time before we switch to electric cars or whatever. So I would keep it, and then if it needed an engine, put an engine. Needed a transmission, put a transmission. They don't build them like that anymore. They don't build them where you can fix them, and they're simple to work on. I would definitely keep it if I had one. The only reason I would get rid of one is, let's say you lived in Michigan or Maine or Alaska, and it was all rusted out from the salt in the road in the winter, and the frame was all coming apart. If that's the case, get rid of it. You can't fix them when the frames are all broken. You'd have to do a whole frame restoration, take everything off the frame, get another frame, put it on, and it's not worth that kind of money. So just as long as the frame is solid, I'd keep it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.